Morning, you're right. Monday. Another week, another day, another dollar, another chance to put right what once went wrong. How are you guys? All good, I hope. Genuinely hope you are. Hope you had a great weekend. Come on, get up out of bed. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. It's time for a new day, a new dawn, a new life. As always, well, not as always, but returning, rather, my producer, Little Harry. How are you this morning, good sir?
Morning, yeah, I'm all good.
Great. This embodied voice of the all-powerful producer there. You're the glorious band that chosen for you, my band of brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining me. Without you, it really isn't a thing, is it? It really isn't a thing. It's just me sitting in front of a dead camera talking nonsense. Thank you for joining me. You're the best people on earth. Get involved in the chat. Oh, press like. Don't just press it. Smash it. Smash that ye olde like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Get the bell on. Get involved in the chat. Consider sending in a Rumble Rant or Super Chat. Boom. All right, enough faffing about. What's the point of all that fannying around? Let's just get on with it. Let's get on with the show. That's what you're here for. All right. What's in the legacy corporate mainstream media this morning? What's the front pages of the of Fleet Street, the print media, talking about in Britain today? Let's have a look. All right, we've got Burnham's 10-year mission. Andy Burnham, King of the North. No Stern and Burnham. Wants 10 years in power. Okay, bro. He's going to need 10 years to fulfill his mission. To destabilise and undermine our society. He needs 10 years for that. Okay. Might be nice to call a general election straight away then. To actually have a mandate. Maybe. All right. And Princess in peak's condition. Princess of Wales is in peak condition now because she got over cancer. She beat cancer. And she's climbed 3 of the highest peaks in Britain. So Princess in peak's condition. We'll get to it. A little bit of sport today, I'm afraid. Can't avoid it. Little bit of football. It is in the front pages. I'll keep it to an absolute minimum. You know me, I try to be a river to my people. I know you guys don't care about it. It's also Wimbledon. Wimbledon starts today. So again, very, very briefly, just because it's on the front pages. All right, let's start then. Let's get straight into it. The Financial Times. Gulf strikes. US and Iran imperil truce. Again. So if you remember, they signed that memorandum of understanding which gave themselves 60 days to come to a full-blown proper peace deal. Well, over the weekend, last few days, Iran and the US exchanged strikes again. So Iran fired things at US bases in Kuwait and Bahrain. Apparently none of them hit any of the targets, no one was killed and nothing was damaged. Like the drones or missiles or whatever were shot out of the sky before they hit anything. Nonetheless, the Americans say the Iranians did that. And then the Americans hit back on targets inside southern Iran, with fast jets and stuff. But then they've both decided to stop that. Or Iran also fired something or other, a cargo ship in the Straits of Hormuz. According to reports. I wasn't there. I haven't seen any of this with my own 2 eyeballs. Lotus Eaters has not verified. I'm just telling you what's in the news. In fact, before we go on, should we have a quick look at that in a touch more detail? Let's have a look. Yeah, look. US says it has agreed with Iran to stand down after trading strikes, reports say. So just a quick update on this. I think a lot of people are getting burnt out with the Iran thing. They don't seem to care a great deal at this point. I mean, because oil... Well, let's have a look at oil, actually. West Texas, just shy of $70 a barrel. $69.6 a barrel. Brent crude, down $72. And lower. Significantly, or, well, certainly lower than it was at the start of the war. All right. The US and Iran have agreed to stand down following an exchange of strikes over the past few days, media reports say, citing a US official. It comes after several attacks in and around the Straits of Hormuz, culminating both nations accusing each other of violating the ceasefire. Isn't that the story of at least the latter part of this war? Both sides accusing each other of violating their ceasefire. How many times have we had that play out now? Quite a few, isn't it? quite a few. But Iran hasn't just walked away from the negotiating table entirely or anything, nor has the US. Okay. It goes on to say basically what I already told you. Over the weekend, the US retaliated with a series of strikes on Iran, hitting multiple targets in what the US Central Command, CENTCOM, called a direct response to the, quote, continued aggression against commercial shipping. There you go. All right, that's sort of the update on that. The 60-day thing is still ongoing, about 2 weeks into it now. They exchanged fire. Or I suppose the other element to it is Hezbollah and Israel. Like, Hezbollah said they're just not going to stop. You know, it's part of one of Iran's red lines in the sand is that they're going to need Israel to stop attacking Hezbollah. But in order for Israel to stop attacking Hezbollah, even the outside scant hope of that happening means that Hezbollah has to stop attacking Israel. Because whenever Hezbollah attack Israel, Israel are going to respond. Look, the leader of Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group has rejected the agreement and accused the Beirut government of undermining Lebanon's sovereignty. Also, due to ongoing fighting between Israel forces and the Iranian-backed Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, that ceasefire also looked shaky. So, yeah, look, on Sunday, yesterday, 2 days after the agreement was signed, the Israeli army said it had struck a 200-metre-long tunnel used by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, which it said contained hundreds of weapons. So basically, the US and Iran need Israel and Hezbollah to stop fighting each other, and neither of those two parties are prepared to do that. It seems, at this point in time. Okay. All right. That's where we are with that. Can anyone stop either Hezbollah or Israel doing, within reason, whatever they like or whenever they like? Can Tehran or Washington do that? Not very likely, is it? All right, let's move on. There was that giant earthquake in Venezuela as well. We'll talk about that in a bit. Burnham sets out 10-year mission to raise living standards nationwide. Okay, what's his plan? So, one thing I'll say about this is that he's set to do a speech, his first big sort of keynote speech, all about policy today. So everything that's being reported about today is, we expect Burnham to say. It's thought that Mr. Burnham will say X, Y, Z. He hasn't said it yet. He's going to today, so probably tomorrow, it'll be all over the front pages again, another Burnham day, of what he actually said. So, yeah, again, this morning it's just, this is what we think, this is what has been leaked. Policy pitch by a PM in waiting to happen later today. Echoes of Starmer and Johnson bid to balance northern emphasis. Echoes of Starmer and Johnson is just like, you know, when a leader comes into power, they promise the earth, don't they? I'm going to do X, Y, Z. It's going to be all singing, all dancing. Everything's going to be better. It's a new dawn. And then they get into power and their own party and quangos and the markets don't behave exactly how they want them, need them to. Yeah, so part of Burnham's idea is more devolution. Even more devolution. Taking more and more powers away from Westminster and putting them in the hands of local authorities. And according to Burnham, what Burnham's expected to say, his Manchester model, that's better for the country. They'll be able to cut welfare spending more easily that way. You sure about that? You sure about that? And in loads of different ways, it'll just be better, a better form of governance, according to No Stern and Burnham. Hasn't worked hasn't worked very well so far, has it? The devolution experiment ever since the Blair years. I wouldn't say. In Beau's Britain, we would reverse probably all devolution. It just makes us weaker. Simply makes us weaker. In my opinion. All right, what else have we got here? The Telegraph, the Daily Telegraph. As I say, Wimbledon starts today. There's that British ace, Emma Raducanu. Or, sorry, Raducanu. I always say Raducanu, don't I? He was a football player from the 90s, early 2000s. Raducanu, the half Chinese, half Romanian, Canadian-born girl that is apparently British now. And she's a bit pretty, so they always often put her on the front pages of the paper, or in the paper. She's actually quite, she's a really average player. Well, she's not even going to be in Wimbledon because she's injured. She's got a stress fracture. There you go. I'll play through the pain. That's out of date. All the other papers are saying no. She's out. She's just injured. She's not going to do it at all. All right. Bumham, give me 10 years to fix Britain. Yeah, right, bro. Sure. Incoming Prime Minister sets out his stall to boost economy through devolution. Well, to me, that feels like a contradiction in terms. I'm going to boost economy through devolution. Really? Really? Apparently there's no real talk of sort of cutting taxes for the high street and things. If anything, there's all sorts of talk of taxing the middle classes more. People that might own small businesses type of people. Tax them more, if anything. You're going to boost the economy. You're going to talk about remigration. You're going to get rid of the 10 million plus people here that are a sponge on our society. No. Not going to boost the economy that way. Oh, okay. Going to radically cut taxes and spending. Of course not. He's a leftist. Ben Stokes, tiny bit more sport. I'll keep it very minimal. Ben Stokes, who was until fairly recently the captain of the England cricket team, he's not resigned. He's retired from the sport, he says. Mid-game as well. That's weird. Never heard of that before in my life. He had an innings, got out, and then while the match was still going on, announced his retirement. Okay, that's all I'll say. Trump fears new PM will fall short on defence. Yeah. Trump's obviously been briefed about no stern and Burnham, that he's just Keir 2.0. Just the same man as Keir Starmer, basically. Perhaps with slightly more charisma, but slightly more to the left. But all intents and purposes, as far as someone like the Donald is concerned, it's like the same guy. And Burnham has already signalled, hasn't he, that he's not going to spend tons more on defence, if any more at all. The government finally came to the conclusion that although the army desperately needs absolute minimum, something like, and Navy, needs something like 18 billion, he's like, no, we'll give you 13.5 billion. Bumham has already said, yeah, we're going to stick with that. That's good. Stand with that. So that doesn't make the White House happy, does it? Yeah, the few comments Trump has made about Burnham are like things like, isn't he just the mayor of some city? Something like that. Like very dismissive of him. He's just the mayor of some city somewhere, right? Who is he? Who is he? Sort of a comment. Almost 20,000 foreign criminals avoid deportation. Okay. This argument that Labour is actually based in some way because the immigration figures came down slightly from the peak of the Boris wave or of the Rishi years. They're somehow based. No. That was always a pretty subversive take, in my opinion. That was always bananas. Of course not. Of course not. There we go. Shabana Mahmood. A cuckoo in the nest. A foreigner. A foreign person. By ethnic origin. Lets 20,000 criminals avoid deportation. Okay. Talking about foreign criminals, one bit that's in the news, some news today, well, not really in the corporate mainstream media news very much, certainly not front and centre, but people are concerned about, is this story, a classic case of the rest of the world is interested in a certain story, but the legacy corporate mainstream media try and either completely ignore it or report it and then try and memory hold it as quickly as humanly possible. Man charged with rape and murder after girl's death. Just a man murdered a girl. So it is. A man murdered a girl. A Somali man raped and murdered a 2-year-old, is what happened, in England. Oh, no, wait, was he Somali? He wasn't. He was Congo. Come on and do the Congo. We'll get to that in a minute. I haven't just made that. I'm not just being flippant for the sake of it. We'll get to that. That's on the front pages. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. I think he's from the Congo, and he was... yeah, that's right. The Central African Republic is where he's born, but he's a French national. But he's in England, in Surrey, where he raped and murdered a 2-year-old. Right. Okay. Is there anything more barbaric than that, other than multiple 2-year-olds? Or it being a 1-year-old? Is there anything more barbaric than that? What was this Congolese French person doing here? And if I saw one report, hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, I saw one report briefly earlier this morning saying that he's also going to be charged with another rape of like a 13-year-old or something. Just an utter monster. A monster. But the headline is just man charged with rape and murder after girl's death. Right. Hey guys, all the Fleet Street editors, that cabal of evil Fleet Street. Hey guys, on the front pages, yeah, don't mention the Congo guy that raped and murdered a 2-year-old, right? We're just going to skip over that, yeah? We're going to try and memory hold that, right? And remember, guys, yeah, as like every day, don't mention Les Wexner or Ehud Barak or the 5th Baron Rothschild or George Osborne and that yacht and what Jeffrey Epstein actually was, his giant blackmailing machine. Don't mention that, yeah? Got it? Cool. Okay. The Daily Mail, pure subversive filth, globalist filth, trying to pretend it's something other than that. There's that Raducanu who's injured. Heartbreak for injured Emma as she pulls out of Wimbledon. Okay, she was never going to do very well in it because she's not that good at tennis. Is that too harsh? I mean, she's good enough to be placed in it, to even be able to enter it. She wouldn't win it. She's nowhere near. But she's slightly pretty, so... All right. Messiah without a mandate. Remember, that's Andy Burnham, isn't it? Because he wore sandals that one time, and someone yelled at him, "You're not the Messiah." So he's now the Messiah without a mandate. That's his name now. Tax raids on middle classes in Burnham's 10-year plan. Would-be PM to unveil left-wing mission. Well, that is a left-wing mission, isn't it? To destroy rich people, and then once they're all destroyed or have fled, you then move on the Eye of Sauron. No, Stern and Burnham's Eye of Sauron moves on to middle-class people. And once they're destroyed, it will be working-class people that have anything. And then you'll be living in a workers' utopia at that point. Once everyone has nothing, that's utopia, isn't it? The means of production are in the hands of the workers. Except it isn't. And it never is, ever. Tax raids on middle classes. Yeah, of course. Of course. Any middle-class Labour voters? Well done. Well done. Then a lot of them are self-loathing, aren't they? A chip on their shoulder. Oh no, I'm slightly middle-class and I get to go on holiday 3 or 4 times a year. Oh no. I won't actually give up any of my money, though. I'll just virtue signal by voting Labour. All right, The Guardian. Ooh. The Guardian. Are you kidding me? Is this a joke? Is this some sort of bad joke? The Guardian. Okay. Ben Stokes retires from cricket. All right. Alarm raised over growing role of private equity firms. Exclusive. Government's £24.4 billion contract part of financial pandemic. Burnham set to promise growth in all postcodes. US and Iran strikes threaten fragile peace. All right. The Times, the venerable Times. Wimbledon begins today. They've got an essential guide for you if you've never heard of tennis. Anyone for tennis? Public to decide asylum appeals as Mahmoud jettisons judges. Yeah, this is weird. I mean, so it's not set to come in until the end of the year. So hopefully Andy Burnham will come in and change this. Whether we will or not, God knows. But the Home Secretary, the cuckoo in the nest, the fifth columnist Home Secretary we've got, Shamana Mahmood, says that the appeals system for failed asylum seekers, so you get told, no, your asylum claim has failed, you can appeal it. There's an appeals board, type of appeals board. She wants to overhaul that. So instead of actual judges, it'll be done by basically normal people. She's trying to recruit hundreds of normal people. Is that completely insane, or is there actually some sort of method to the madness of that? Well, a lot of local magistrates are normal people. They're not necessarily people that have been barristers or solicitors and then they've been trained to be a judge. A lot of local magistrates, not sort of crown courts, but local magistrates are normal people, basically volunteers. There's an argument to be made, because some people, some judges that have spent a lifetime in the law make terrible decisions, don't they? Absolutely insane decisions, like letting convicted rapists leave the court without a custodial sentence and things. Whether the asylum appeals body would be better or worse served by essentially normal people staffing it, I don't know, depends what the people are like, doesn't it? Depends if they've got like tribal, ethnic and religious allegiances of their own, if they bring that to the table or not, doesn't it? How they're selected will be the key to it all, won't it? Like a jury trial. Well, often the key to a jury trial is in the jury selection, isn't it? We'll see. On the face of it, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't bode well. But who knows? All right. King Bumham, I want mayors to help cut benefits bills. Bill. Will they? No. PM in waiting will vow to lift Britain back up. Really? Really? By not addressing the demographic decline and our open borders, though. By not really, or not at all, addressing the slippery slope we're on towards a sectarian nightmare. We're going to lift Britain back up by devolving more power away from Westminster. How does that make sense? Church told its ableism is harmful to meek priests. Okay. The first paragraph of this is sort of bizarre. It tells you where we are as a country, a society. The pressure on vicars to be loud and proud, i.e. not meek. Didn't Jesus Christ say that the meek will inherit the earth? The pressure on vicars to be loud and proud is making life difficult for neurodivergent priests, the Church of England has been told. Neurodivergent priests. Sometimes it does feel like we're living in Idiocracy, the film Idiocracy, where everything is bizarre and absurd. Okay, the eye paper. Let's just read this. Burnham vows to lift Britain back up with biggest ever power transfer. Making us weaker, in my opinion. In key leadership speech today, he warns it will take 10 years to reset UK. Yeah, right. They all say that. That's sort of the holy grail of power, isn't it? To become, first of all, to become Prime Minister, the slippery pole to the very, very top, and then stay there for something like 10 years, Tony Blair, Maggie Thatcher style. That's what they all want, isn't it? So that your name is really cemented into the annals of history. Will Burnham survive the next general election? Doubt it, highly doubt it. All right, it says, Labour frontrunner to replace Starmer says there must be a change in how Britain is governed and wants power pushed out of Whitehall to regions and local communities. I mean, obviously, I rail against Whitehall all the time, don't I? The civil service, not that they're perfect, far from it. But will it be better if even less competent civil servants run things? Burnham sets out vision of a good growth in every postcode, driven by his Manchester model, and reforms in education and business partnership that focus on British jobs. We'll see. We'll see about that. Business partnerships. Is there any better example of a marriage made in hell than public-private partnerships? The worst of both worlds, in my opinion. Mayors may be given power to reduce benefits dependence and cut surging welfare bill. Right, but will they? Okay, you can give them the power, but then once they've got the power, will they do that though? Or will there not be like councils and mayors that are just like, no, my tribal allegiance is to my people, whatever they be, Bangladeshis in Tower Hamlets or whatever, Pakistanis in Manchester or whatever in Birmingham. They'll be like, all right, thanks for giving us all that power. Yeah, we're just going to spend it all on us. Because ultimately, this isn't our country and we don't care if it goes to pot. Will that dynamic play out? Or will King Bumham the First's vision work perfectly? Don't know. Poll for the iPaper reveals voters trust him more on economy than Starmer or Farage. Really? Really? Okay. Don't believe that. Like how they'll do a poll. It's 90% of parents want censorship for their kids, for the whole country. Do they? Do I trust that? Do I trust that poll? Okay, according to the iPaper, people trust Burnham on the economy more than Starmer or Farage. Okay, but they want him to deliver on suggested tax cut and take utilities into public control. Oh, really? They want a return to the 40s or 70s of Labour nationalising things. What happened there? Let's see if we can recall what was the ultimate results of those things, the net result of all those things. Oh, complete disaster, basically. Complete disaster. Look how Attlee, when he nationalises like steel and coal, the coal board, the steel board, all those sorts of things. We haven't got much of or any of a coal or steel industry anymore, have we? We'll nationalise the railways. Huh. Aren't our railways a laughingstock around the world? Okay. They trust Burnham on the economy, but they want him to cut taxes. That's exactly what he won't do. Isn't it? That's the last thing he'll do. Because he's tax big, spend big, lefty, classic lefty. If you want your taxes to be cut, don't vote for the left. Almost speechless. Almost. All right, the Metro. Ugh. Ew. What's that? What's that gross thing? Ew. Number 10. A bigger navy. We need more drones. All hands on deck. Replacement warships are axed from defence plan as tactics evolve. Billions to be spent on high-tech kit to combat Moscow threat. Apparently what they're saying, according to this report, is that our like frigates, the type 42 or 45 are they? Frigates, they cost £1 billion a piece. And then, of course, constant refurbishment and maintenance and everything. But £1 billion a pop. And for what they are, they're good. They're cutting edge, what they are. But that's too expensive. That's too expensive. So they're going to make budget versions. They're going to make much, much, much cheaper versions. I suppose a bit like, it's not a great parallel, but America made the F-22 Raptor, didn't they? Like the best fighter, best fast jet going. They were just insanely expensive. Weren't they like $1 billion each or something? I don't know, maybe not quite that much, but they were insanely expensive. So they sort of made the F-35. It's like a cheaper version of it. So they can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, or thousands of them, instead of just a few dozen. Anyway, all right, so apparently we're going to design and make budget versions of them. And the money that's saved, spend more on drones and drone technology, because that's the future, according to them. Might not necessarily be insane. That might prove to be a sort of strategic, like, correct call. Maybe, who knows? Because they were saying we need to focus on Russia. We need to gear everything that our military is, Army and Navy and Air Force, gear it all towards a possible conflict with Russia. Bit of a throwback, isn't it? If you stopped poking Putin in the eye with a dirty stick constantly, then why would we need to worry about Russia particularly? But there you go. For some reason, the blob, the establishment, the deep state, is hell-bent on antagonising Russia. Because he's got his eyes set on conquering Belarus and Poland and Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, maybe Finland. Has he, though? Has he? Because you're saying that is just true, we must constantly antagonise Russia and gear all of our military towards possibly going to war with them. All based on the assumption that Putin is like Stalin or Khrushchev and is just waiting to invade Eastern and Central Europe and the Baltic states. Yeah, but is he, though? But is that right, though? Is that true? Is that a correct assessment? Because if it's not, and it might be, I don't know what's in Putin's mind, but if it's not, then don't all the other calculations downstream of that look like nonsense? Okay, the star. Here we go. The princess. Princess in peak's condition. She's both in peak condition, having beaten cancer, and she's in the peaks. So there's a thing called the 3-peak challenge, I think it is, where the idea is within 24 hours, you go to Swindon in Wales, North Wales, the biggest mountain in Wales. You climb that, you walk up that, and then you drive quickly to Scafell Pike in northern England, the highest peak in England, climb that, and then you drive to Scotland, you drive to Ben Nevis, the Ben, and walk up that. You do all of that within 24 hours, and you've completed the 3-peak challenge. All right. And Catherine Middleton, Princess of Wales, to be Queen of England. Kate Middleton, doesn't she look radiant? Even at the top of, she's at the top of Ben there, the Ben. She's at the top of Ben Nevis. It's windswept and rainy. But still, she's looking radiant. But there she's, quite literally, the sun have quite literally put like an angelic halo around her. Royal Highness Kate completes 3-peak challenge to help hospitals where she was treated for cancer and explore life beyond diagnosis. So she did it for charity, to raise money for charity. Quite literally glowing with some sort of like a divine radiance. Alrighty. A little bit of football. I'll keep it to an absolute minimum because I know the glorious band, the chosen few, you don't care about sports ball. 3 lines, do, come on and do the Congo. For anyone who might not know, I don't know if Black Lace is global. There was a song from the 80s by a band called Black Lace, and it's called Come On and Do the Conga. Yeah, anyone who's British will know this. You form a conga line. You put your hands on the hips of the person in front. Someone behind you puts their hands on your hips, and you form a long train of people, and you dance around the dance floor at a wedding or a birthday bash or whatever. And the song goes, do, come on and do the conga. You form a conga line. Okay. Many foreign people might not know that, might not have heard of that. Everyone in Britain will be aware of that, I'm sure. Come on and do the Congo, though. Can you see the clever wordplay? Clever. Very clever there. because we're going to play Congo in the sports ball. At the World Cup, England won their last game 2-0, and in the next round we're going to play Congo. That's it. I'll move on. That's all it is. Come on and do the Congo. All right, the Mirror. Ben Stokes has retired. Apparently Barcelona might want to sign Harry Kane. All right. The Radiant Princess of Wales at the top of Ben Nevis. There you go. My chance to give something back. Emotional message after 3 Peaks charity trek. All right. The Sun. Jude. One of our players called Jude Bellingham. Jude. Come on and do the Congo. The same. That's odd, isn't it? The Sun and who was it? The Sun and the Star decide to do the exact same wordplay. Well, not the exact same one, but the Sun have added to it. Isn't it funny? Isn't it really, really clever what they've done there? Okay. Is this not treating you like you're a buffoon? Could report on anything and in any way they like, and they're choosing to be sort of, I was going to say lowbrow. It's not exactly lowbrow, is it? Just be as vapid as possible. How can we dial up how vapid we are? How hollow, how sort of paper thin we are. Don't be serious. Don't use it. No gravity to it. Don't talk about the invasion, that we're being invaded or have been invaded. Don't talk about the endless crimes going on against us and our demographic decline and what would need to be done. Don't talk about any of that. Do a black lace pun about football. Okay. The Daily Express, it's a good paper. You can read your Daily Express now. There's the Princess of Wales at the top of Ben Nevis again. They've got a slightly different story here. Failing NHS trust, blew fortune defending right of trans medic to share female nurse's changing room. Maddening is the quote. A female peer, described it as maddening, that £1.25 million was a waste of taxpayers' money, where there was a male to female transgender person working in, where was it? It was in Durham, County Durham, up north. A man who wanted to use the female changing rooms, nurses' female changing rooms. And the NHS themselves spent £1.25 million trying to make that happen. That obviously to say that money should have been spent on healthcare for people that are unwell, shouldn't it have been? Yeah. What a disgrace. All right. That tea's done. I'll move up to my backup water. People the other day saying, why are you drinking water out of a mug or a cup rather than a glass? Like, what a barbaric thing that is. It's a fair point, I suppose, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't really matter, does it? Plus, it's got the logo on it, so buy these mugs if you want off the merch store. All right. They're the front pages. There you go. That's today's news. Shall we have a look at our poll today? We usually have a quick look at our poll at this point of the show, don't we? Harry, can you bring that up for me? What did we do? What did we say? Right, we asked you guys, over 1,000 votes in here. We asked you guys, is devolving power away from Westminster in Britain's interest? I made it clear, didn't I, on the show today, that I think no. And the no's have it. 66, just ticked down from 67. 66% of you say no, and 34% of you say yes. So, not an absolute overwhelming stonking win, but a win nonetheless. If that was a national referendum, you would claim a mandate for all time off the back of that, wouldn't you? 2-1. 34% of you, though, say yes. Very, very different idea of what makes a strong country then, I suppose. What else can I say? So the was just ticked up to 67%. 67% of you. Well done, that's the correct answer. in my opinion. All right. Let's have a look at what else have we got in stories of note before we move on to the history section, the Rumble Rants and the Super Chats. We've got, what was there? Oh, I thought this was interesting. There we go. Pakistan launches, the old headline said, Pakistan launches deadly strikes along Afghan border. Pakistani strikes kill dozens in Afghanistan. So this is one of those things in the world that's going on in the world that largely gets ignored or overlooked, but actually is of reasonable import as far as I'm concerned. The war between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Of course, they share a big long border. You might think, oh, Pakistan's sort of a firmly, staunchly Islamic country, and the Taliban in Afghanistan are sort of, hyper Islamic in various ways. Surely they're like obvious brothers in arms. Obviously, they would work together and pull in the same direction against their myriad enemies in the world. Nope, they hate each other. Nope, they absolutely despise each other. At the end of last year, or towards the end of last year, they were doing all sorts of strikes against each other, both accusing the other side of being the aggressor and things. Like Pakistan will strike because Pakistan's much stronger, bigger population, got industry, got nuclear bombs, if you believe that, and got a much, much more sophisticated, bigger military. Sometimes Pakistan will launch something into Afghanistan and do some damage. And when Afghanistan say, this unprovoked aggression will not stand, man, and all sorts of stuff like that. And Pakistan's like, no, you, the Afghanis, you're training terrorists and sending them into Pakistan and blowing stuff up. So we're responding to that. And Afghanistan say, no, you started it. If that's happening at all, it's not even happening. But if it is happening, it's not us. That's sort of it in a nutshell, basically. Anyway, they've had a truce for the last fair few months. They've stopped attacking each other, but it started again at the weekend. There you go. They're saying at least 100 people have been killed or wounded, including civilians, the Taliban said. Pakistan's information minister said 29 militants were killed in strikes. So there you go. I just think that's worth remembering that there is that war going on as well. Okay. Well, so a lot of it's about Burnham, his double chins, his moobs, and his guy liner, his mascara he wears. He goes jogging a lot though, don't you know? Yeah, right. That's not the cheekbones and jawline of a man that does cardio regularly. Believe me. Yeah, look, the Venezuela thing. At least a few thousand are dead. Loads more wounded and homeless. And when stuff like this happens, you've got a few days to try and rescue people that might be stuck in a pocket underneath a building. But you die through lack of water quite quickly. 2-3 days a human has got. If you don't have water, within about 3 days you die. It's kind of simple as that. So they might be able to have pulled out a few people, a small number of people, but 3, 4, 5, 6 days go by, a week goes by, there will not be any survivors, basically. Unless there's like the odd case where someone is trapped in under a building and there's like somehow a trickle of water near them from a burst pipe and they're able to get a bit of liquid and they can survive for longer. But other than outlier cases like that, 4 or 5 days go by. That's it. You won't get any more survivors, really. Okay, and it will happen on Wednesday, so we're already sort of in that place, that window. Yeah, look, Sky decides to go with this as their top story. Number of killed in Venezuela earthquakes nears 1,500 as time runs out to find survivors. Grim, horrible, isn't it? Look, there we go. UK to replace fleet of destroyers with, quote, budget warships. Great. Okay. Prince Harry, let's not even talk about Prince Harry. Don't care about Prince Harry and his obnoxious wife and the fallout he's had with his own father and brother. Really don't care. All right. Oh, this was one thing I'll quickly talk about. Did we talk about it on the Beau Show? Sometimes I forget what I've talked about on the Beau Show and what I've talked about on the State of Politics. But there was this guy, Jeffrey, what was his name? Jeffrey Donaldson was the head of the DUP, the Unionists in Northern Ireland. And he was convicted of multiple counts of sexual assault. Yeah, he was convicted last week of 18 sexual offences, including 1 count of rape against 2 women when they were children. He was convicted of that. He hasn't had his actual sentence yet, but he was convicted of that. And this story just says that, and of course, being Northern Irish Unionist, he will be very, very, very staunchly, Protestant, staunch Christian. And it was saying that he described homosexuality as sinful, but at the same time, literally like the same time, or within a week or something, he went to like a gay massage parlour. Okay. The BBC Northern Ireland Spotlight documentary, due to air tonight, will reveal how Donaldson was observed by 2 former policemen entering Chariot's sauna near the Houses of Parliament in 2006, which apparently is a gay sauna. Okay. All right. Let's do On This Day in History, shall we? I quite like doing that. You like doing that. It's already 2:45. Shall we have a look down through the centuries on this day in history? What happened of note? Have a quick look. June the 29th. What have we got? Oh, Globe Theatre fire. Yeah, so on this day in 1613, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre on the South Bank in London burns down during a performance of Henry VIII, which is one of Shakespeare's last plays. And I remember when the Globe Theatre was rebuilt. It was rebuilt, in like the 1990s? Wasn't Zoe Wanamaker or Zoe Wanamaker's father involved in it? Anyway, when I was born and when I was a kid, there was no Globe Theatre. There wasn't one. The one that stands there today is just a replica. Apparently it's a very, very authentic replica. It was only rebuilt at the end of the 20th century. Or was it even finished in the early 21st century? Anyway, the original one burnt down in a fire. And that happened on this day in 1613. Okay. On this day in 1900, the Imperial Chinese Court issues what is essentially a declaration of war against foreigners in China, blaming them for hostilities and giving licence to the Boxers for even greater ferocity. I've threatened to do a thing all about the Boxer Rebellion before. The Boxer Rebellion, big thing. It's like, this is the last few years of Imperial China. There's not long left before the Chinese Imperial Royal family is deposed. By nationalists in the first instance. The communists didn't get in into Mao until after World War II, but the nationalists got in long before that. The Boxer Rebellion, a massive thing. Loads and loads and loads and loads of people died in the Boxer Rebellion. They were just Chinese people that called themselves the Boxers. Something to do with actual Queensberry rules, fisticuffs. Called themselves the Boxers. And one of the things that they said was that, exactly as it says there, that foreign people are the problem. All sorts of people, Japanese, Brits, Germans, French, Portuguese, anyone that's foreign, Americans, they're destabilising and subverting our country. And there's an element of, there's more than an element of truth to that. At the very end of the 19th century, early 20th century, China was in real danger of just being broken up and just broken up. There won't be one massive country of China. It would just be broken up and taken into all the other more powerful countries, mainly the West and Japan, would break it up and have it as their colonies, like big chunks of Africa, like the race for Africa. There'll be a race for China. Anyway, the Boxers said, we're not going to have that. And one of the first things we'll do is physically hunt down any foreigner and murder them. Which they did attempt to do. Based. On this day in 1939, Ford introduces the revolutionary Ford Ferguson 9N tractor, incorporating Harry Ferguson's 3-point hitch system. Don't know anything about that. I don't know about the history of tractors, I'm afraid, or the technical side of tractors. That's a funny little factoid for them to include here. I couldn't tell you any more detail about that other than apparently that happened. Okay. On this day in 1941, 6,000 Jews are murdered in a pogrom in Bucharest, Romania. That's a shame. On this day in 1964, Civil Rights Act 1964 passes the US Senate after 600 working day filibuster by Southern senators. Yeah, quite a lot of problems in the United States, you could argue, and some do, stem from the Civil Rights Act. On this day in 1966, US planes bomb North Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, and the port city of Haiphong, for the first time in the Vietnam War. I mean, that's very close to the beginning. 1966, that's right near the beginning of the Vietnam War, the formal part of it anyway. And yeah, as I understand it, they bombed Hanoi badly in that. Not just a few bombs scattered, but like kind of flattened it, or at least over the coming months. Really sort of raised Hanoi. It only galvanised the communists, really. Made the guerrilla war more intense, if anything. Okay, on this day, 1994, US reopens Guantanamo naval base to process refugees. Yeah, Gitmo Bay. Of course, we all know that after 9/11 in 2001, it was used to house a lot of alleged terrorists, special renditions, all that sort of thing. Things you might not be able to get away with on the mainland of the United States because of a little thing called the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Well, if you just do it on foreign soil somewhere, like Guantanamo Bay on Cuba, it's on Cuba if you don't know, maybe you can just do things there that the Constitution wouldn't allow. All right. Let's have a look at our Rumble Rants and Super Chats. Let me do this with my mic so I can see the left-hand side of my screen for the Rumble Rants. We do the Rumble Rants first. Is Global Church History going to be in at number 1? And he is! Okay. It's a good day. Global Church History usually gives us a couple of factoids. We've got here, on this day in 626 AD, the Persians and their Avar allies besieged Constantinople. Alright, yeah, so 626 AD, so that's just before the Islamic cult. And so Muhammad, that's during the age of Muhammad himself, but the Islamic hordes are still in Arabia. They haven't pushed up as far as modern day Turkey, Anatolia, Constantinople, the Bosphorus and all that. So this is pre that. These will be Persians and Avars, yeah, right. So, but the walls of Theodosius were already built. They were built in like the 5th century, weren't they? The walls of Theodosius, almost impenetrable. Not quite in the end, ultimately, but for 1,000 years were impenetrable. So the Persians and the Avars failed to do that. And the other one, Global Church History gives us, says, and on this day in 1644, King Charles the Martyr won the Battle of Crowpreddy Bridge. Oh, King Charles I, Charles Stuart. You called him King Charles the Martyr, okay, but King Charles I. Yeah, if I recall, gosh, there's the big famous battles, aren't there, of the Civil War, the English Civil War. But if you actually look at a list of all of them, there's loads. Isn't that the one? I think that's the one where King Charles had made his wartime capital in Oxford because the Parliament controlled London. So he made a secondary capital in Oxford, which actually, the scheme of things, isn't very far from London. They tried to capture him. So William Waller tried to capture him at Oxford and failed. If that battle had gone differently, perhaps the Civil War would have ended a lot sooner and there would have been less problems in general, but the Royalists won that one. Yeah, won the battle of, yeah. Okay, there we go. At some point, once I do Henry VIII and get onto all the Tudor successors and then the Stuarts, eventually, hopefully later this year, I suppose, perhaps early next year at the latest, we'll start talking all about the Civil War. And I plan to do that in lots and lots and lots of detail, silly detail. There's a few things on epochs I've done in silly detail, like the life and career of Julius Caesar. one about Henry V, one about Napoleon, one about the Voyage of Magellan, decided to do it in granular detail, almost as much as I possibly can. I think I want to do that about Charles I and Oliver Cromwell and the Civil War period. I think that's what I might do. I'll make it a 10, 20, 30, 40 part thing. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's worth it, I think. Okay, thanks, Global Church History. All right, the next one, GWFF says, ladies and gentlemen, in the blue corner, hailing from every... Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. In the blue corner, hailing from every nation and century, the number one, undisputed, heavyweight champion of faith and history of the world, Global Church History. History. Yeah. First name Global, Christian name Global, middle name Church, surname History. Okay, great. Thanks, GWFF. Jeffrey Farno says, hello, Beau, happy Monday. Oh, happy Monday to you. I'm not going to start singing a Happy Monday song. Come on, there's enough of singing for one day. Where do you stand on the Michael Jackson debate? Oh, do you think he did it, or do you think he was set up? I think he did it. Maybe not everything he's accused of, but had this out with Connor Tomlinson once. Well, a little bit anyway. Connor Tomlinson insists that Michael Jackson didn't do anything wrong and he was all set up and stuff. But when you look at the details, remember, I'm old enough to have lived through this stuff in real time. When you look at the details, at the very least, you can say it's weird and suspicious at the very least. Because there was that first kid in the 90s, was it Jordan something? Jordan Chandler Bing? Not Bing. Jordan Chandler. Don't know, maybe. It's weird. It's certainly weird. And then, but the other one, the second one that he went on trial for and was found not guilty, Gavin Avizo. If you look at the actual details of that, what came out in court, really look at it, read it. Why would you say there's nothing there? Why would you say it's a setup? They seem to have been in a relationship, whether it was fully consummated or not. Gavin Avizo says it was. He was like 13. He's not like a little kid. He's not like 7. He was like 13. And he said, yeah, we were in a relationship. A sexual relationship. Yeah. And there's loads of other evidence, largely circumstantial, but still evidence, that they were together. All right? He was found innocent in that trial. But there's just loads of other evidence, just like loads of the bashing, like Michael Jackson just admit to stuff like, like sharing his bed with boys. He's like, no, don't be ignorant. There's nothing weird about that. It's the best thing you can do to share your bed with someone. Yeah, but why boys though? Why prepubescent or just pubescent boys are you doing that with? You're not sharing your bed with a 60-year-old tramp, are you, Michael? Who knows? I suspect there's no smoke without fire in that with Michael Jackson. But who knows? Some people, a lot of people, insist it was all fake and phony and set up to destroy him. It may be. I don't know, but my feeling is he was a wrong one on some level. But perhaps not. All right, let's move on. Luke Stewart, St. Luke Street 91 says, g'day, Beau. Oh, g'day, mate. And everyone. G'day, Beau, and everyone. Hope you all have had a lovely weekend. You too. Dumb question. What's wrong with devolved government? I mean, sort of devolved government. What's wrong with it? You hate. I'm kind of a fan of the city-state model. Left power in the central government. There's a number of problems with it. The city-state thing barely worked in the 2nd century BC. You're dealing with a modern state that's larger than one city and a few kilometres around it, then that model doesn't work. Again, it was sort of out of date, outmoded in antiquity. There's a number of things wrong with devolved government, in my opinion. Loads. And maybe I should make long-form content about it. Okay. It's like a fundamental thing. We'd have to spend ages talking about it to give it justice. Okay, next one says, again from Luke, says, any word on the Scottish stabber? Haven't heard anything about it for a while now. As quickly as he can, he sort of disappeared because he was white, and you think they'd be parading him around town going yee. Oh, is that the white Scottish stabber? Yeah, I don't know. They've decided, haven't they? They've decided to memory hole that largely as well. Perhaps, if I'm being kind, there's no need for me to be. Perhaps they don't want to prejudice any case against him by rampant speculation, or like everything else, they're just scared of any backlash. I would have thought it's probably that they don't want to give anyone any ideas, so they'll just memory hold it. Probably that, isn't it? We'll see. Oh, we've got a second one from Global Church History Today. It says, most priests I've met are somewhat on the autistic spectrum, usually quite significantly so. That's why they catalogued so many bugs in the 19th century. Pure autism. Oh, right, okay, yeah. Quite often you get sort of a priest scientist in like the 17th, 18th, 19th century, don't you? Yeah, that's quite right. Yeah, the one or two priests or vicars, Anglican vicars that I've met and never spoke to, have been weirdos. Yeah. You say autism, I'll just say weirdos. Yeah. Odd that, isn't it? It's just my lived experience. Okay, Luke again says, I bame loud. What's it? If you've misspelled something. I bame loud and proud minister is causing half of problems in the church. You know, the neurodivergent priest, they follow the word of the Bible and the current ministers we have. Okay, just maybe you're supposed to put, I blame loud and proud ministers for causing half the problems the church have these days. Yeah, I mean, it's just completely infected, isn't it, by the woke mind virus. And that you'll get female priests wearing rainbow-coloured things and holding up a sign saying, we're all Muslim. Yeah. Come and invite an Eid celebration in their cathedral. Yeah. Weird. Right, 14 Barber, next two are 14 Barber. You say, morning, sir, you all right? I'm all right, thanks, hope you're all right. You put, Max was definitely the best part of the Austrian go yesterday. You must be talking about Max Verstappen at the Austrian Grand Prix, which George Russell for Mercedes won, didn't he? It would be funny if he managed to win the title this year. Hope you have a good week ahead. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think one of the Mercs are going to win it, aren't they? Probably Antonelli. Okay, it would be interesting though. I've had enough of Max. I've got Max. What's the word when you're just sick of them? Like I'm sick of Schumacher winning everything. I'm sick of Lewis winning everything. I'm sick of Max winning everything. When you're sick of Vettel winning everything, I'd like to see someone else win it. Okay. 14 Barber says, I don't really want mares and devolutions, but I'm actually up for Devon and Cornwall being a desperate country. Probably meant separate country, but you've put being a desperate country from the UK at the moment. Bring the based in and let all the lefties go to the UK. Right, make a based cessation thing in Devon and Cornwall. I'm a Cornishman, actually, I know. My DNA came back. I was more Cornish than anything else by quite a long way. So, yeah. All right, the next whole few are Luke again. I'll read them out in one go if you like, because it's already gone 9. You've said, to be honest, most of the destruction done to manufacturing steelworks and the like is because of free trade. The hell can be complete against countries that use child labour and no environmental laws. I mean, that's a part of it, isn't it? Yeah, like globalisation. Again, globalisation. It's just much cheaper to import manufactured goods from somewhere in the world where it costs pennies on the pound to make, rather than make it here. True, but it's all part of it, isn't it? That we knew that in the 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s. That's part of it. Rather than trying to address that, do something about it work around it in some ways. No, just do it. Just get rid of all of our manufacturing. Could have been handled a different way. Could have been. Luke again says, wait, Harry had an argument with James Hewitt? Oh, Prince Harry. And James Hewitt, because there was a suggestion that Harry's father isn't King Charles III. There's a suggestion, isn't there? That Major Hewitt, or was it Captain Hewitt? The polo player, gentleman, actually bedded Lady Di, Harry's mother. La Didi. And he is, in fact, he's passed away now, isn't he, Hewitt? He's actually Harry's father. Who knows? They won't do a DNA test. Okay, Luke said, I wish we could edit super chats. Bloody autocorrect likes to stuff them up. I think that was fun. I think that was deliberate. You obviously meant to say likes to stuff them up. Yeah, autocorrect, yeah. Just double check what you're right before you press send, I guess. Next one also, Luke says, I mean to say less power, not left power in central government. That's okay. All right, and the last one here, Fallen Firebird says, in the modern managerial state, devolution is just another excuse, like the Quangos, for the central government not to do what the actual British people want. Yeah, that's true. Good take, definitely true. Oh, we can't, we can't, that's a devolved power. Yeah, right, yeah. We tried to do something about it, but yeah, the devolved power won't let us do it. We tried to do something about it, but the Quango, the cults, you control ultimately if you want to control the Quangos and the devolved bodies and the cults. If you really wanted to, if you had the political will to do it, you take those powers back or pass acts of parliament to control them properly, but you don't want to, do you? Again, it's as Fallen Firebird says, it's a very convenient excuse. Oh, we can't, our hands are tied now. You tied your own hands. Think we didn't realise? Think we can't see? Think we don't have any memory? Think we're just idiot children? Alright. That's the last one we're at. Let's have a look at the super chats. Harry, you need to bring up the YouTube super chats for me if you could. Could you make it so? Engage. There they are. Okay, good. Right. There's a 10 or a dozen or so. Let's see what we've got. Tatum2733 says, part of the ceasefire is Israel leaving Lebanon, so if Hezbollah keeps shooting, it's not a violation. The IDF is in violation by still invading. Yeah, can look at it that way, sure. Yeah, yeah. Not that I want to play defence on behalf of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu in the IDF, but just, obviously, well, you already know, but they would just use the argument that we have to invade for our own safety. Have to invade southern Lebanon because of Hezbollah's aggression. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're. What can you do? What can you say? You're right. But then Hezbollah will say, "Well, you're attacking us. We need to respond." Okay. David Betts 1180 says, had first fleeing Venezuelan families arriving here in Bucaramanga, Colombia. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Bucaramanga in Colombia this weekend. Been heartbreaking speaking to them while giving out food and water. Give your loved ones a hug and be grateful. Yeah, that's a good sentiment. You never know what's going to happen. There's someone out there you hold dear and love and you haven't let them know in a while. Do let them know. Because you never know what can happen. Life can change on a dime. And often does. Out of clear blue sky. Very often does. Tatum again says, Jesus Christ chased people with a whip. That's what you've said there. Is that in the temple, turning over the moneylenders thing in the temple? Is that bit, if I recall? Is there any other bit in the Gospels where you could be referring to? Okay. Mr. Dicky Bingo, how are you, sir? Super fan, says, Bumham will lift Britain up, apart from taxpayers. Right, yeah. Yeah. You're going to lift Britain up unless you own anything or got any savings, in which case we're coming for you. Yeah. You lift the foreign invading class up. Yeah. F Google 2. It's more explicit than F, but they just say F Google 2. They said, devolution will harden tribal behaviour. Yeah, I believe so. I fear so. Mayors, councils will grab more resources since it is in their interest and they can dole patronage. Chicago. Yeah. You'll get mayors and councillors that have got their own racial, religious and tribal and ethnic allegiances, which aren't to those of the native British white people, and they'll rinse the system for as much as they possibly can. Yeah. Is that making every postcode more prosperous? Is that lifting Britain up? Is it? No. F Google 2 again says, why are so many politicians lighting the loafers? You're suggesting that Mr. Burnham is a bit fruity, a bit musical, of the musical persuasion. Okay. Is he married? Or in a relationship with a woman that we know of? I don't know. I don't even know. You never really see him with a wife or partner, do you? I don't know. I really don't know. Is he lighting the loafers? Psycho Hobo says, we need to see who the 3 presidents of the EU are connected to and who is funding the Kalergi plan. The 3 presidents of the EU? Which 3 presidents do you mean? I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. Yeah, but no, who's funding it all? Yeah. Yeah. Who's funding it all? Very good question. Pertinent question. Salient. Oh, Harry, my super chat's just disappeared from the screen. I don't know if I click something or you click something or something. Can you bring them back? 1 second. 1 second, people. Hold tight. Oh, there they are. Okay, they're back. All right. We've got 3 more, just 3 more today. Pope John Edgar IV, that's their name, at Pope John Edgar IV says, MJ didn't die, he just changed colour again. Ooh. Yeah, he's actually on a double-decker bus on the far side of the moon with Elvis and Bruce Lee. He's still alive. And the real Paul McCartney. Okay, Amazing Disgrace 911. I like that. I like that name. Always like that name. Amazing Disgrace says, history is useless without original source material. The difference is crucial. A very good point. Oh, absolutely, very good point. I mean, my undergrad was nominally in ancient history. That was the name of the degree, just ancient history. But what it really was, the bulk of it, was historiography, really, was looking at the nature of history itself. You had to read a lot of the history and sometimes do essays about what happened in history. But largely it was looking at the sources, looking at primary sources, talking about primary and secondary sources, historiography, the nature of what history is itself. You're quite right. History is useless without original source material, yeah. I don't know what that was in reference to exactly, but you're quite right. Of course, then you have to scrutinise primary source material as well, though. Of course, they will have had their biases and things. But yeah. To never ever return to primary source material is wrong, isn't it? That's what I say to people. Quite often, people say, have you got any book recommendations? I'm interested in ancient Rome or something. What do you recommend? I don't usually recommend, well, I do often say Gibbon, actually, don't I? Edward Gibbon. I don't usually recommend a modern book. I will say, go back and read some of the lives of Plutarch. Go back and read Tacitus or Suetonius or something. Maybe read an essay about Tacitus and Suetonius as well, or Plutarch, or whatever. Yeah, read the original source material. Yeah. You want to know about Alexander the Great? Read Arrian. Don't read Michael Wood. Probably, or do both, do whatever you like. I don't like to preach to people and tell them what to do or not to do. But yeah, the original sources, you can't beat it. I was having a conversation with someone at Makerfield, and they were talking about Arthur, King Arthur. And they had all sorts of kind of odd ideas about it. And I said, well, Wait, what about the original? Where are you getting that idea from? That odd idea, part of the Arthurian legend? Why don't you go back to the original source material? You know what the original sources are, right? Geoffrey, someone like Geoffrey of Monmouth, or Christian de Troyes, or something. They didn't know. They just heard of, or read, or someone else had read and told them about some secondary material they'd read. And it's just Chinese whispers at that point. They go back to the horse's mouth, and then come talk to me, and then we can have a proper conversation about it. Okay. What have we got here? The penultimate one, because one more's just ticked in, is from Fide Defensor UK. Fide Defensor UK says, will citizen vigilante cause issues on the street? Probably not. Doubt it. Right? Maybe, who knows? I doubt it. We've got a whole generation of completely deracinated men, haven't we? Unfortunately. All right, and the last one here today from Tatum again says, I was saying Jesus chased people with a whip in response to the bit about meek pastors. What would Jesus do? Includes a lot. Lol. Oh, right, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, one more just ticked in. Why not read it while we're here? Emily 4 Restore says, why are we defending a terrorist org? Question mark. Am I? Was I? Hezbollah has destroyed Lebanon. Yeah, I'm not defending Hezbollah. Why would I? Hezbollah are pure evil. Sorry. Gave anyone the impression I would defend Hezbollah. No. Why are we defending terrorists? I'm not. Jihadi Hezbollah has destroyed Lebanon. Yeah. A formerly Christian country. Same Islamists, different place. Yeah. Well, Emily of Restore, Emily 4 Restore, or anyone else that might have thought I was defending Hezbollah, no. Here's a statement of fact. Hezbollah is pure malevolent filth. Is that clear enough? For you? Yeah? Okay, good. All right. No, I'll be accused of being Zio now. Why do you love Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu so hard, Beau? That's what this is. You say anything against Russia, you get accused of being pro-Ukraine. You say anything against Ukraine, you get accused of being a Kremlin shill. All right. Okay, all right, that's the show. It's now 17 minutes past 9 in the AM, British summertime. On Monday the 29th of June in the year of our Lord 2026, you've been the glorious band, the chosen few, my band of brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining me. Without you, it really isn't a thing. Try and make it the best of the day ahead. Carpe diem, seize the day. The most valuable thing you will ever have is your time. You only have this day once in history. Once it's gone, it's gone. You'll never get it back. Your time is the most valuable. If you can, I know it's not always easy when you've got a job and a life and kids, etc., etc. It's not always easy to do something truly valuable with your time. Most of it is robbed from you against your will, I know that. But if you can, if you're in a position to, try and make the best of it. All right then, without being too preachy. Until tomorrow morning.